You look just like Bruce Wayne.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. And today, I'm here to talk about one of my least favorite Batman villains, Hush. Now, hear me out, because I already know that this is probably an unpopular opinion. Actually, nowadays, those seem to be the only ones that I have. And I know that nostalgia definitely plays a big factor into people's, love for the character. But he kind of sucks. He kind of sucks. I'm just gonna say it. Now, if I'm looking at this objectively, there are elements to the Hush character that I genuinely do enjoy. Now, Hush came out at a time where it felt to many, especially Batman nerds, that Batman had done all there was to do. He'd gone through every plot you can think of with the usual, unusual suspects. The story was an ongoing mystery, and the identity of Hush was kept on the hush-hush. It was an interesting ongoing plot that a lot of readers, myself included, were invested in. With a bunch of different red herrings, false leads, and faux identity reveals, as well as panel-to-panel action. So, yeah, I was heavily invested in this when I was younger. I mean, I was completely hooked. Who was this mystery man? Who was Hush? With teases to a resurrected Jason Todd, a third personality for Two-Face, possibly the Riddler's return to a life of crime, the final reveal here had to be big. And it wasn't. All of those teases, all of those implied identities, would have probably made for a better endgame. Because here, the character's identity couldn't be any more obvious. As these comics introduce, establish, and put an emphasis on Bruce's childhood friend, Thomas Elliot. A new character showing up at the exact same time that a brand new villain was on the rise is a totally easy indicator for even occasional readers. Everyone who's ever read or seen anything knows that the new guy in town is the killer, is the villain, is the masked man. It's a trope that dates back probably to the hieroglyphics era. And even when the series decided to kill off Thomas Elliot because readers were onto their ploy, it just came off as a stunt to try to divert expectations.
I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am.
I beg your pardon?
Your ruse, your cunning attempt to trick me.
Now forget the fact of how ridiculously obvious it all was. Even brushing that off, the reveal just isn't that great in general. Despite devoting a fair amount of time to Thomas Elliot's long relationship with Bruce, he was still severely underdeveloped, as every other character in the story had years or even decades to be solidified. People knew the Joker, people knew Harley Quinn, people knew Two-Face. Nobody knew who Thomas Elliot was.
Nobody knows who they are, nobody cares.
Thomas was brand spanking new, and right out of the gate you have him go rogue? His motivations were also pretty lacking. He was developed to be the anti-Bruce, and I know I said something similar very recently about the Penguin in Gotham, but both scenarios are true here. Thomas was brought up the same way as Bruce, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, coming from such immense wealth that his baby crib was practically a small mansion. However, where Bruce's parents were unfortunately murdered, much to his lifetime dismay, Tommy tried to kill his. He was obsessed and jealous of Bruce for being able to inherit his family's money when he was young. And that's it! That's the guy's whole reason. This grown-ass man, this Einstein of a being, plots everything he does in this comic because he's a spoiled little brat who wanted more of mommy and daddy's money. It's so weird to think that he was able to manipulate the likes of Clayface, Killer Croc, Two-Face, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Superman, Huntress, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and the Joker! And all for what? Because he was jealous that Bruce didn't have a mommy and daddy? The reasoning just doesn't fit the multiple crimes. It's not like he had a relevant grudge against Bruce. I mean, look at characters like Theo Gallivan in Gotham, or the Penguin in the Telltale games. They're not at all justified in what they do, but their hatred of the Waynes is. Their families had issues with each other, and both Theo and the Penguin blamed the Waynes for some tragedy in their family. That is an understandable reason to hate Bruce Wayne. That is an understandable reason to try to take down Bruce Wayne, Batman, whoever, okay? Again, not justified because he didn't do anything, but understandable when you know how the human mind works. You know, these guys feel like they need to get revenge and they need to bring honor back to their family's name, but the people that they feel are responsible for it are no longer here, so move that hatred on to the next of kin. It makes sense. But having Thomas Elliot hate Bruce just because he doesn't have parents anymore, and because I think that Bruce's father saved his father's life when he was trying to kill him, it's so... It's just so ridiculous. I don't have any more descriptive words here other than to say it's dumb. Making Hush so incredibly immature conflicts with his genius-level intellect. And not only that, his lack of a real motivation makes him void of purpose. Somehow I'm supposed to believe this guy has what it takes to take down Batman. I'm supposed to believe he set his entire plan in motion, probably prepared for a couple of years, maybe even a full-blown decade, of trying to take down Bruce Wayne and Batman, but he couldn't successfully commit matricide? Come on now! But the worst part of the Hush character, the biggest problem I have with Hush, is that in order to establish him, the writers buried the rest of Batman's rogues gallery. The Hush comic depicts Hush as being superior to both Batman and every villain in Gotham combined. He's constantly besting Batman's foes. Some of the most notorious and infamous names in all of comic book history. The guy basically manages to use all of Gotham and some of Metropolis in some sort of master of the puppets type scheme. And it's just too much, too soon. And its end payoff is not worth it. Hush comes off as a total Gary Stu. And to make matters worse, the book makes everyone else look awful in comparison. I don't understand how this series gets the praise that it does by some Batman fans. Again, maybe outside of nostalgia reasons, because it literally downplays every Batman villain that came before him. It makes them all look like chumps. And Superman! And Superman too! It's complete character assassination. In some cases, quite literally. But it's complete character assassination of some of the best characters in all of Batman lore. I mean, moving Superman and the Joker around like they're pawns in some game of chess, there comes a point in time where you're going too far. And they way past this. They built Hush up to legendary status immediately, and all that they did for him kind of feels like it was overcompensating for what is a really weak character. Oh, he's gotta be a threat. Look, he manipulated Superman. Oh, this guy's gotta be a big deal because he can best Batman in hand-to-hand combat, and, you know, I mean, look at all these fake-outs that he had. That means something, right? No, it means absolutely nothing. But another huge issue about this character, which I don't hear talked about often, outside of his initial story arc, outside of his introductory graphic novel, the Hush character has had little to no relevance. The return of Hush in any comic that featured him thereafter is either laughably awful or easily forgettable. The guy was good for one thing, and honestly, I don't know how good he was in that one thing to begin with. The best I've seen of the character outside of the comics was his side mission plot in the Arkham games, and I thought the actor who portrayed Hush as Bruce in Batwoman was pretty great too. The original actor who played Tommy, though, not so much. I just don't feel like the Hush character works outside his original arc all that well. I mean, I don't think it can't be done, but I just feel like it hasn't been done yet. The concept of Hush was solid. Create a new big bad for Gotham City. Have a character that has ties to both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Understandable. Interesting arc. Smart decision to give Batman a brand new foe when he probably needed one most. But in execution? Not so great. I remember being really hyped for the reveal. I was so on board when they said that this could be a reincarnated Jason Todd, because even at the time, mind you, this was before the Red Hood story, he was a personal favorite of mine. If I can attribute anything to this comic, it'd be the sudden interest that the comic book world took in Jason Todd following these events. And it probably played a hand in what led to his resurrection in the comics, as well as his second life as Red Hood. So I guess potentially thank you for that, and whatever part you played in bringing my favorite character back. But in terms of this character, in terms of Hush, you did nothing for me in taking everything from everybody else. So when it comes to the Hush character, you know, some things are better off hushed. Yeah, that's right, I said it. I'm not proud of it, but I did say it. Anyway, with that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. That was my least favorite Batman villain, and I hope to see you in the next one. In the meantime, feel free to leave all your hate comments in the comment section below. That is what it's there for anyway.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.